Most people think that they cannot change anything. They believe that they're powerless. They don't understand the power that they have. They don't understand the history that they possess, what they're able to achieve. Change is not usually planned. Change happens because of what people do. So it doesn't have to happen in a particular realm. You only need yourself, another person, and that change process is happening.
What do you think this map is? Any ideas?
It represents deprivation.
If it represents deprivation as well, it must represent wealth.
There's more gold coins on the outskirts than there are in the inner.
The richest area on the outside.
I could see no gold coin in the middle.
Let me explain. We've used the government statistics and we call this map the scandal of inequality because there is a lot of deprivation, but there's also a lot of wealth. And everything on this map, whether it's just a single Jenga block, toy blocks, or one of the coins, represents a community or an area of about 1,500 people. And it shows how deprived or wealthy that particular area of 1,500 people is.
When it comes to health and well-being, there's three strands to it. It's not just physical health, it's mental health and spiritual health.
In Harewood, a man would be expected to live until they're 83. In City and Hunslet, 72. Almost like you walk a mile from the city centre, you add a year to your life.
I think it's now have and have-nots. You have the potential to give your child the right opportunity. You have the potential to pay for your health services and not wait on the system.
The average income in 2009 for Harewood Ward was 57,000. Gipton and Hare Hills, 14.
And you've got those that are right down at the bottom that are so disillusioned. They had bad education, their history of unemployment in their family, postal discrimination. Do you get what I'm saying? And they're sick of it. It's beating them down.
In terms of education, Adel and Wharfdale, 74.1% of people leave school with 5 A to C's. In City and Hunslet, 22.4%. Just in terms of child poverty, 5.4% of children living in Adel and Wharfdale would be classed as living in poverty. The highest, Hyde Park and Woodhouse, 46.1%. Virtually every other child live in poverty.
If we know these are the statistics, what they're doing about it, because this is the facts, where is this equal distribution then?
A lot of people, a lot of old people and a lot of young people thinks, well, we really don't need to go to doctors, because when you walk in there you get an attitude of the doctor or you get an attitude of the woman behind the desk. So a lot of people think, I'll just go to the chemist and get myself a prescription, or go to the chemist and get myself a bit of whatever you need.
Anytime we put on a health-based promotion in our shopping centres, it's a phenomenal success because people who maybe don't want to go to their local GP or their local health centre are happy to engage in that health activity here at the shopping centre.
We have a society thing about men being strong, blah, 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 tough as old boots and, you know, don't cry. And men have a problem, and even within the Caribbean community, we're seeing that now with the number of men going down with prostate cancer, with the number of men not being diagnosed early enough with diabetes, with the number of men not being engaged in, you know, health checks.
All these diseases present in both rich and poor areas, but they just present a lot earlier in poorer areas.
If we bring Lloyd's chemist who wants to do blood pressure tests or something like that, we bring them and put those events on in our shopping centre, the local community who maybe don't have opportunities to go and test, get these things tested, are able to do so here in an environment that they're familiar with and maybe more comfortable with.
Where I got to go, I've got to take my kids. I don't have a babysitter 7 days a week. If I've got dentists at 1:30, I still got to take my children with me to that dentist. They are my children. So when she sits and sees her mummy getting her tooth done, well, she's going to think, well, I'm not going to be scared. I'm going to go and get my old tooth done.
Smoking cessation is really important, reducing alcohol excess, healthy eating, 5 portions of fruit and veg a day, and the exercise, recommending 5 times of 30 minutes per week. If everybody did all those things, then there would be a massive impact on health. What's complex and difficult is empowering and encouraging people to take those up.
What we need to do is look at how we can reduce that 25% of people living in inverted commas poverty and give them hope and aspiration.
Giving them aspiration in life means showing them that other opportunities exist. What are the things they could achieve? That way we will be able to reduce that inequality.
Job creation, I think, is really important in looking at these health inequalities and giving people opportunity to work, because I think that is good for their health.
We can talk about narrowing the gap, but how do you actually do that?
The lack of education, the lack of jobs, and that in itself, for people to improve their lives, is proving unbelievably difficult for them.
Leeds is a very wealthy city. People come into the city, they make money, and that wealth goes out of Leeds without thinking too much about what's left behind.
I think you've just got to be lucky to get what you want. You've got to be lucky. Well, you have in my situation. Like, there's not enough jobs to go around at the moment. I don't think there ever will be again. My dad is a pensioner. He thinks it's easier to be able to get a job. He thinks it's easy to get a council house. He thinks it's easy to survive, basically. And I think that's the opinion of many people. I think, oh, well, I'm not struggling. You shouldn't be. I don't think people see the real side of things. I think people just see what they want to see.
There is something at the core of this discussion about work and purpose. It gives people opportunity, it gives them the ability to contribute and to be part of something.
I do think that work is good for people. I think there's a lot of evidence that working improves people's health and well-being, and being off work and being off sick is not good for people. When you get one thing wrong, you tend to pick up other things, and you lose confidence, and you're less likely to be able to work. You have less social interaction, you're more likely to become depressed.
There are so many part-time, mid-contract, full-time positions at this shopping centre. At times it's a frustration of mine. People are intimidated about applying for some of the jobs at our fabulous retailers.
You've got people like myself in our 50s who are not even going to get a look in with some jobs. And there's low-skilled, low education that's also preventing a lot of people from even applying for jobs.
We try to talk to young people who maybe hear about opportunities at the White Rose but maybe think that they don't have the skills to apply. We create A to Z of interview tips for young people to try and encourage them to apply for our jobs and let them know that the personalities that these guys have are what our retailers are looking for.
When you're at your lowest in the gutter, you're not looking very good. You've not got the finances to go out and keep looking, and for job interviews, people become petrified. I haven't got the right clothes to wear, I can't look smart, I need my hair cut in.
You can't hide behind the fact that if you want someone to work in a bar or a restaurant, which is all about customer service, they have to look the part, they have to talk the part, they have to be the part. In some ways, we can only bridge that gap between the opportunity and making sure it is completely accessible to someone who might fit that category by mentoring them, actually saying to them, we'd love to give you this opportunity, but these are the skill sets, but this is where you are at the moment, and there's quite a big gap that we need to bridge.
I've got hundreds of certificates for all different kinds of things. I've got qualifications in bricklaying, plumbing, joinery, forklift licence, catering. I've got the highest level in catering you can get. Well, no, I am. That's like Michelin and stuff, but I have got level 3 supervisory catering, so I can supervise people catering. I've got alcohol, like the British Barman Institution, certificates. I've got my CSCS card to go on building sites. I've got everything there, but I can't use them because no one will give me a chance.
I know a lot of our community women are long-term unemployed. They never been work. They never expected to go to work. they know that their husband or brother or someone else's son will be the provider, so therefore they don't have any aspiration in their life. But once you give them those opportunities, they think, okay, I have achieved something, this is my money, this is my freedom, I could do anything with that money. So that's the first step of their understanding and having some aspiration.
For me, you start to get some of the answers by saying, let's take some of that economic activity closer to where those issues are. The difficulty is that we don't always have the right encouragement sometimes, or leadership, to encourage enough of those people who have created that wealth to share it. And the way we try and do it is through taxation or through legislation. And that, in some ways, just drives entrepreneurs to find ways around it. It doesn't actually encourage them to share what they've created and accept that responsibility.
And then public service need to look at how we could support those people, for businesses to take those people. Because if we don't do that, then who is going to do it?
It's a proper community club. It's about the way that we support and the way that we have our members, and it's about everybody feeling that they're part of that community club.
With college, you're stressed all the time, whereas with boxing, you can take your anger out in a bag, you don't get told off for it. No one's going to shout at you for lashing out, or you can just go off on a mad one, and then you're all right after. You feel better once you've been training and had a bit of kick about with your mates.
Young people being young people, they're very materialistic, so you've got to have the best, and rightly so, they should have the best. But it means that that membership that was around about 120, whatever it may be, in the bad days, that's now gone to 1,800. We're open from 9 in the morning right through till 9 every night, 7 days a week. We do football, dancing, cheerleading, singing, drama. There's a whole range of different things that go on. They come from all over. We get young people from East Leeds. In boxing, you know, we have people travel from York, and that's again down to the quality that they're going to get.
I started like volunteer coaching, volunteer refereeing for the football matches, and the club's actually put me through different coaching badges. Like they've put me through my level 1 coaching badge, my refereeing course, and now they're putting us through level 1 rugby certificate.
Similar to Gareth, I've achieved coaching badges. I've got gymnastics, cheerleading, doing my level 1 rugby, and fruit boxing side of it, I've got my title of it.
What title?
National champion for boxing.
In the middle of Holton Moor there is a leisure centre which has been closed down. Now, I think the reasons were that it wasn't used as much as some of the other leisure centres. What we need to look at is why are people not using that, how can we encourage people to use that better. To me that is a symbol of how people who need a leisure centre have had one closed. And why can't we invest in something like that to make exercise more accessible?
Women and girls' health is really important to me, and for me personally to access somewhere where they really respect covering, it's difficult to find a swimming pool that does that. And where I did find it, I had to pay £75 an hour to hire it privately so that I could run a group for women and girls so that they could go swimming for an hour.
If there was more equality in income in the city, I think possibly the inequalities in health would be less.
I think you make your own opportunities, and if you want to look after yourself, you'll look after yourself. If you don't, you won't.
Just because you're in a poor community, it don't mean you have to have poor health. You don't have to have money to go to expensive gyms or clubs. You can go out, you can have a run around park, and instantly you've looked after your health.
I think we were about 80, 90 allotments. We have about 100 people on this site. The benefits are fresh food, we're meeting different people, and also the exercise. I dig most of it over. Now I've had a quadruple heart bypass, so I've got to just be careful how much I do. I just do about an hour, half an hour to an hour each day. I can lose nearly a stone in a matter of, say, 2 weeks without having to go to a gym, and you're out in the fresh air all the time. I don't think it's a lot to do with the growing side. You've got to keep your mind and your body healthy, and that's what this is all about. If you haven't got an allotment, you can grow in pots, a little greenhouse. It's 4 foot by 6 foot. It go in somebody's backyard. You grow what you want in there, you know, and I grow everything from seed in that, which fills this 300 square metres. There's nothing to stop your little box or anything that's made out of wood. You put 3 or 4 lettuce in, bit of radish in, odd celery in. That is the way to grow stuff, is a little bit regular. Dr. Flint says, if you've any fruit over, you know, like apples, pears or whatever, could you bring some upstairs and we'll put them on the table for kids to, you know, when they come to the doctors and have them. Fair enough, yeah, we will do. We're trying to get in touch with the resource centre here, you know, if ever they want help. When we've got, look, if you want to come in, you can have it. You know, same at school there, if they want it, you can have it. And they don't even come in and make themselves known.
Where I live in East End Park, which is a bit like an island, because you've got the A64, big main road, and then other roads that kind of cut it off. There only in the last 2 years has there been a shop that sells fresh fruit and veg, and it's a little corner Londis shop, and the fresh fruit, the selection of fresh fruit is very small.
I think the microwave has been a total negative in our society. I think, you know, microwaves was made, but all foods can't be made to go into microwaves, but yet still we're putting everything in microwaves.
Women take a lot of leadership within the house, whether men accept it or not, but they do. So they do the cooking. So if you talk about the healthy eating, who cooks? Women cook. So if we give them those tools to cook, you know, the much more healthier food and do something simple food, different dishes, they're introducing the world.
I think as a nation we've got a problem with alcohol, and you only have to go out in Leeds on a Friday and Saturday night or work in A&E at the weekend and you see that there is a problem there.
There is a lot of people who do like alcohol and stuff to hide away from the truth, or hide away from things in their life. But there's also the enjoyment of it.
Do you know what I mean? It's like the men. The men sits and drinks and drinks and drinks away. Binge drinking is worse than an alcoholic. They'll sit there on the weekend, they'll have a few cans like I do myself, have an I'll drink or whatever else, but it's worse. It's worse. Because they sit out there and I drink and I think to myself, oh, I've got bad pains in my stomach or whatever else, and they won't go and they think, oh, it's only an odd can that's hurt me. But it's not. They need to go to hospital and they need to get a full checkout. Another thing that we see a lot is we do see a lot of lung cancer, unfortunately, and that's directly related to smoking. And we know that smoking is more common in deprived areas. My sister was 33 when she passed away, and she passed away with cancer. We did not know she had cancer. If she would have gone to that doctor's and found out what her cough was or found out what her lump was, we would have known. We found out our sister had cancer within 6 months. She was wiped out, she was gone. She left 3 little babies behind. A lot of people think, well, oh, we won't go to a doctor, it's only an old cough, it's only all this, it'll go away in a week, and then that week leads to 2 weeks, and then that 2 weeks leads to 3 weeks, and then 4 weeks after they've got cancer. It's never too late to change. You know, even if someone stops smoking at the age of 50, they can halve their lifetime risk of lung cancer by stopping smoking at 50. So that shows you that it's not too late to stop smoking, even if you smoke from the age of 12 to 50. So yeah, I think there's always hope. There's always hope of change. When I was a kid, me and my friends used to sniff gas, glue, Tipex thinners, petrol, anything you could get your hands on. And then we'd start taking acid, amphetamines, built up from there basically. It just becomes a lifestyle, it becomes natural to you. You could build up a rapport with the same kind of people. You're not lost in society anymore, you become someone to somebody.
You just can't educate them. They have their own mind, their own intention, what they're going to do. And it doesn't matter how much you ask or beg or beseech them not to do things like that. They still go ahead and do it. I moved away, and then when I came back a few years later, every one of my friends were all on smack. A few of them were dead. I was the only one left out of all my friends. I realised that I just tried to hide from being nobody. I was homeless. I'd try and steal, get a bit of money together, buy the drug, sit there, take it, and just think, I could have used that money for something else. I could have bought some food. You know what I mean? Just sat there starving, smacked up. And then something just clicked in prison. It just lost its purpose, basically. Everything that were going on, you know what I mean, drugs and everything was just pointless. I just thought, well, I need to get out of this lifestyle because it's not for me anymore. There was a push towards prescribing methadone to reduce crime, because we know that if you prescribe methadone for someone, the crime rate goes down because they're not having to, you know, sort of go and
break into a car and get a car radio so they can get the next fix.
I've got out of prison loads of times on the methadone. The best choice I made was go on the buprenorphine to get out and never touch that methadone ever again.
I couldn't
Never.
just stop the methadone, I'd be very, very
You're
ill.
poorly, you're really, really ill. Really ill. You might as well just stop taking heroin.
If I did.
The withdrawal's totally different from taking heroin to it is methadone. And I think that's why a lot of people end up back on drugs when they do come off the methadone, because you're poorly, really, really ill.
Lose one,
Yeah, you would.
If I stopped taking the methadone. But I am reducing.
I met Gareth 2010 after I just got out of prison. Gareth makes me want to live life differently because he accepts all my flaws, all my past. I've got a better lifestyle, my health's a lot better, obviously because I don't take drugs no more, I don't commit crime no more, I'm just a lot happier. The feelings I've got for Gareth are unconditional, except all his badness that goes with it. I just love him the way he is, do you know what I mean? He's got his flaws, don't get me wrong, but aren't we all?
Because we've been in the same situation, we've been honest with each other, whereas I've been in relationships before, there's been a lot of lies. I haven't felt safe in that relationship. Or there's been a lot of things he haven't wanted to mention, or what I haven't wanted to mention.
He don't like to talk sometimes though, Gareth. I think he bottles a lot of things up.
Some of the crimes I committed, at the time I didn't give a shit about, but now I sometimes think back and think I feel guilty for some certain people, and I think, what possessed me to do that, you know? What possessed me to go that far? And that's like, I always think, but I put myself in their shoes.
Well, you never do when you're on drugs, do you?
I think how they must have felt. I think, oh my God, I hope that never happens to me.
Mental health is very much a condition of, for me, because, you know, a condition of not feeling welcome, not feeling included, being depressed, being disheartened, getting to that point in your life where you think there's nothing there for you. You might as well be that way.
At my age, with one pension, there is electricity, there's gas, as you know, there's poll tax, there's water, there is phone bill, there is food, there is repairs on your house and things like that. Now you tell me, where is my happiness? Where does that come from? I don't get handout, I don't get grants, I don't get benefits. I live on my pension. And I'm telling you, it's no joke. I have nothing to laugh about. The only thing I have to laugh about is when I look at my children and see how they have struggled and where they've got to. Then it sort of gives me a bit of comfort.
I believe mental health is a sense of disillusionment for a fair amount of people. They feel, I can't engage, I've tried everything, it's not happening for me, so I just switch off.
I'm not interested in anybody else's life, I'm not interested in what they're doing out there. I'm just bothered about my own life and what's going on in my own four walls, do you know what I mean?
We all were happy people. But when we came here and see what it's like, all our faces became straight. We hardly know how to smile, we hardly know how to laugh. Even now, in our area, where the black people used to go and have a drink, have a dance, the police has closed them down. And you go in town as a black person, you're not sure you're coming out alive. You're going to get beaten in town. So you don't go. So it's like everything is taken away from the black people. They're no longer happy. They're under pressure. You know, night after night, you watch a television, you go to bed. There's no life in that, is there? But we have to make do.
There are a lot of older people who are isolated at home, can become depressed, and that can become bad for their health. So I think it's really important to have, you know, things in the community where older and younger people can connect.
Whatever is going on now, there is nothing left for our children and the grandchildren. I don't know how they're going to get anywhere. I don't know how they're going to get. For a start, there's no jobs. You can't afford to pay college and university fee.
I know.
What are they going to do? And how can we, the parents, grandparents, really sit back and smile at it and say, oh, it's okay? You tell me.
I believe the top 20% have, the bottom 20% have absolutely nothing, and you've got 60% in the middle that are fighting to get into that top 20%, which they'll never do because they'll never be as affluent as them, but they're absolutely terrified of falling into the bottom 20%.
We back up whatever we need by praying. Prayer does answer. And God does hear, He does listen, and He does help. And that's my firm belief that helps us to go through as well. Because without God, I would not be here today. That's my firm belief. And nothing and no one is going to change my belief. God is my portion in everything.
I don't know, because I think everybody brings their children up in a different situation. I think that parents have to teach children that what they want out of life, they have to persevere to get it. I want to be such and such a thing, or I want to be such and such a person. I would like to be, you know what I mean? You have to persevere.
We said some of the drawbacks of living in those bits of wood. Are there any good things? Are there any things that you think that you get if you're living in these areas that you might not actually get if you're living?
We can get
more community spirit. I've lived in all sorts of areas, and I think people just become extremely private when they have a lot of money, and they'll have their own private little parties, but they may not even know their next door neighbor. Whereas here, I generally feel that people, even if they're arguing with each other, there's some interaction, you know.
It seems to be that there is that gap between certain areas, and sadly and unfortunately South Leeds is known as a deprived area, and a lot of inequalities when you compare it to North Leeds.
There's some 17% of Leeds' population that lives in South Leeds, but it's bounded by the motorway system, and that becomes a physical barrier, which then can, and I think has become, also almost a psychological barrier, that people the other side of the M621 don't feel that perhaps they're any longer a part of this city.
I think postal discrimination has played a major part in communities' development and how they think, because if you're in an area that has a really bad reputation for lawlessness, then you're almost tarred with that brush before you start.
A child's life should not be determined by where they're born. They should be given a chance and support.
We should all be given equal opportunity, but we will not all achieve the same level. That doesn't matter, as long as we're given the same opportunity.
We took a minibus full of people, some private sector stakeholders and some people from the local authority, and we said, let's do a tour of South Leeds to try and start to understand what's going on there. And we took guys round, particularly to Beeston Hill and Beeston and Belle Isle, and some people in that minibus had never been to that part of Leeds at all.
There's a recent study of the Millennium Development Project which shows that children in the poorer families are a year behind by the age of 4 compared to richer families. So I think early interventions to help preschoolers are really important.
You know, kids that are living in rundown areas or in really dereliction are going to not go to school and be the happiest of kids, are they?
We had a wonderful programme, an introduction of Sure Start, which I think might have addressed that problem. Unfortunately, that was scrapped. But from that, it would have taken a long time for the results, because you're working with a family unit from a young age. And that was so critical, really, to actually break down a cycle of deprivation.
Have we sent a message to some people which says, actually, don't bother, because we have this society which will take care of you?
I think some people feel that they're stuck, and to me that seems, you know, unfair, because it's not just their fault. You know, there's a lot of other factors there that could empower them and free them and liberate them to be able to reach their potential.
There is some movement within here as well, and one of the reasons why these areas have deprived is because the newcomers keep coming into these areas. My personal perception was that people, once they've made enough money, their dream is to move to the outskirts.
What we said in the 60s, we didn't have no information, so we had no power. Now what are we saying? We've got information. What are we doing with it to empower us?
You need to have enough resources to work with community, work with people, listen to people and say, okay, this is what's going to work.
These community organisations have a wealth of information, and that's really what we need out there.
But there is hardly enough consultation you could do. It's quite difficult, but you have to look at the needs, look at the people where in the deprivation are, what are the issues are there, listen to the local people.
Now, you can say X, Y, Z. Well, there's a meeting down at the West Indian Centre tonight talking about that. Are you going to turn up? Oh, well, I've got to watch EastEnders. Oh, well, I've got to watch Coronation Street. Oh, I can't get down there tonight. Why are they having it at 7 o'clock? Well, if they had it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you'd say you have to go pick up the kids from school. If they had it in the morning at 10 o'clock, you'd either say you was working or you had to do something else.
A lot of the people comes from background where they will not be involved until they understand the issues. So you need to break it to on their level.
Community development workers are not usually the people that live in the communities, and they don't see exactly what's going on and what's needed. It's all right doing the research, they can do the research for months on end, but the communities still don't seem to be getting what is needed.
A lot of the decision-making panel, people wanted this community to get involved in. There are willingness, but they need to understand the tools to engage those community. Like they will not be going to public meeting when they don't speak English, when they don't understand the terminology used by the people who's been educated, been to university. So therefore they will never be taking part in that because it doesn't mean anything to them.
It's not so much what can the country do for us, but what can we do for ourselves, and then how can we support the services that are there for us.
Now, I've lived here for 17 years on this estate, and over the years I've done my own research, but I've also watched, observed, taken things into consideration. But to be perfectly honest, since I've opened this community cafe, in the last 4 months, I have seen so much that has kind of rocked my world, if you like, and every day I'm learning because I live amongst it and I can see what's needed, and we're setting up different support groups for the residents that need it. Now, a community development worker is only going to get the things that come into people's heads at the time that they're questioning them. But I think when you're living amongst it, you do get the true feel of everything, of what's going on and what's needed.
Black Health Initiative, Feel Good Factors, various institutions, organisations rather than institutions, like them, use them, support them. They have now got the ears of the professionals. They've got the ears of the hospitals, they've got the ears of the ministers, they've got the ears now. So you've got a platform that's closer to you. Use it, you know, and hopefully the information you input in there will be perpetuated up to those that need to know.
I always say that one person doesn't represent the whole community. One person representing the strategic board is not representing the whole community. So it has to be varieties of sources, varieties of way of listening.
It's good to invest, but it's better to capacity build. Now, what I don't see now from an African Caribbean person, with all the stuff we've done around equality, with all the stuff we've done around health, I don't see in any senior departments any black people. I still don't see that. So something has not changed. We're not good enough. We're good enough to come with ideas, but we're not good enough to take the step up the ladder. So I think, yes, I think the system we live in still wants to deal with top down, even though it's realised bottom up works.
We all have social capital. It's not something that you have or you don't have. So it's about recognising that your knowledge, your skills, the people that you're linked into, your finance, your power, all those things are your social capital. So it's about recognising what they are and being able to use them.
And people always talk about, when I retire from business, I'm then going to work for a charity. That's my time when I'm going to give back to society. Well, why the bloody hell don't you do it whilst you're working?
Building community is one of the key things that can help in these health and social outcomes. And I think, the social capital idea that, the community that you have is a very important determinant of your health. I think that is a key issue.
But usually what happens is that people, working class people, do not realise the power that they have.
I think we have to accept change, and we have to either be part of the solution or continue to complain about the problem.
We blame community, but community don't have any other choice because they don't know anything else. They don't mix, they don't have any idea about other people.
And people don't know each other in the streets, in the neighbourhood and where they live. And that used to be a big thing, that you could trust your neighbour, you could rely on your neighbour. It's not like that anymore.
People are segregated, people don't know about each other more. It's not knowing is the problem. So we need to have that dialogue. It's not forced dialogue, it's the natural dialogue. So if you take people together, bring them, they will talk.
Being exposed to a wider thought patterns actually gives you scope to be able to say, we can do things in a different way.
I think there's something there about everyone needing a stake in what we're doing, however small that stake is. And we need to have that level of conversation about engaging with people, getting people to realise that we all need to contribute something for us all to benefit. And in doing so, we can all benefit more and it adds value. Does it become a virtuous circle then? I'm not sure it would go that far, but we start to get something better happening than we've perhaps seen in the past.